and the CMO left the company. And so now we're dealing with our VP. He has no idea what's happening upstream. And so they brought in an interim CMO, and the first thing he did was do a line-by-line budget analysis for return on investment for everything that they were doing. So he looked at every single thing that they were doing, from affiliates to social. And they basically were going to draw that red line in social. But when he looked at it, he knows that social's fuzzy. He's not a dumb guy. He knows that we're not saying, look how much money we made, and that this is an incredible return based on what they would do with pay-per-click or affiliate or different things. But at least he can look at it and say, I'm a smart guy. I know we need to be doing this. I want to continue to do it. But here's how we're going to work it in the future. And here's how I want to measure things in the future. So now we're getting new feedback, new mechanics that we'll bring into the equation, and we can move forward from there. So I'm running light on time. I know that Arnie likes to stop right around 8. So calculation fun over. So just in success, I just want to kind of reiterate, this pyramid thing kind of really struck a chord with me. I hadn't seen it before. It's the altimeter groups. If you haven't seen it, there's a big deck that's out there about it. It's a really good way of thinking through a methodology. But basically, we're just trying to get as high as we can. The more that we can learn about what's happening at the top, the more that we can keep ourselves in there and at least be aware of what's going on. If we can't do it, we can't do it. I'd rather be doing a strategy engagement and know what the goals were, even if they weren't the right goals or I didn't think they were achievable, because I can educate. I can try to find a different way to get in there. I can try to get in there with different services. I have a lot of options. But if I don't know what's going on up at that level and how things are actually trickling down, I don't really have a chance. I could be the guy who walks in on Friday and finds out that the account's gone. So quick tips. I've got about 40 seconds here. So the first thing I just want to kind of reiterate was back to what Heather and I talked about is don't lose sight of the intrinsic value and don't remove it from the conversation. I think that social media is completely formative. It's got a long way to go. It's pretty new. It is widely accepted because whatever it is, half the planet's on it, and Facebook and Twitter now. It's an incredible medium, and there's a lot going for it. And the ability to have one-to-one dialogue with a customer, or one-to-many, or to crowdsource and do all these phenomenal things, don't lose sight of that. ROI is, it's accountant math, period. That's all it is. It's justification route that's financial. It is not the whole equation. You have to talk about where you're headed, where things are going, and how it shapes your business and what it can be used for in the long term. Talked about getting close to the business driver. Align your strategy. A lot of the firms that we end up backfilling for or in-house groups that we end up counseling, they really didn't have a goal in mind in the beginning, or the goal was an intangible to the organization or not known to the organization, later found out and quickly hated. So if you kind of go down the route of goal, strategy, tactics, and then get that measurement in there and look for improvement, you're in a much better position. Put the tools in place for measurement. This is another thing that just blows me away. Some of the biggest clients that we work with will get in there and start seeing what are they measuring, how are they measuring it, how are they using that data, are they warehousing it, what are they doing over time with it, and sometimes it's not even there. We're dealing with a large size company right now that has a ton of microsites that have no analytics on them whatsoever, and they want them to go away, but they're afraid. They don't know what to do. So we have to put analytics on them now and spend some more money and wait it out. And the last one was I'd be open about your calculations. I think that the person that you're generally, your boss is probably more nervous about what this stuff is than you are if you're dealing in social media. I think just being open about a lot of the calculations can get more complicated. There's going to be fuzzy math in there. That's just the lay of the land. I think you just need to be transparent about what you're doing and how you arrived at what you arrived at, and just kind of let it go. And the conversation that ensues actually has helped us change the way that we measure things for our clients to the positive, and kind of builds that partnership relationship that we have. 1 minute late.
Take your time, man.
Arnie, can we do questions? No?
Yeah, 15 minutes for questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to ask a question?
I was just wondering if you've done any work in the past to do some sort of ROI type analysis for retention of customers, because I know one thing I've always noticed is that companies that do have a good online presence tend to retain more customers. So have you quantified that at all?
We haven't. I'd be surprised if nobody is, though. it makes too much sense to be doing that. And we were talking about some of these methods earlier, and I think those are things that, so they start off soft, right? Like we want to interact more with our customers and kind of enhance the relationship and make them longer and richer and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you've got a chart over here that from eMarketer that says that that's going to work and they're going to purchase more. You probably have in-house data that says the same. I think where the tie breaks down is that person on Facebook or Twitter the customer? And that's generally where some of the breakdowns are. I mean, Facebook's trying to bridge that gap. They didn't go open auth on their authentication. It's Facebook authentication. But that is one of the ways that it can be looked at. You can ask people to link things up, but that's kind of one of the reasons why that one's difficult right now. But I think another funny one that we hit all the time is, so eHarmony decided they want to really make a huge investment in Facebook because we want to have a social community. Awesome. So we're in there doing all the research and figuring out, what do we have available to us, what can we use, what do we not have. And we came across the eHarmony advice forums. And they have hundreds of thousands of members. They've got the top 10% of members, the average number of posts is like 2,000. High members have 20,000 posts. These are people that are huge brand advocates, and that's social media. It's just not in vogue right now, so they've taken it out of play, and that's one of the things we've brought back into play with them. So I think two-part answer, three-part, right? So one part is I don't think a lot of people are doing it, but somebody's probably doing it right. Maybe Charlie's got it figured out from Cisco. Another one is that I think it is difficult because of the mediums themselves. It gets easier with Facebook than Twitter because Twitter has abstracted a lot who you really are. And then the third point was don't forget to leverage what you've already got. So if you have a social network that's working that you created a long time ago, there's nothing wrong with a forum if it's active and it's working. So I think that's a great way. They can track their people that way on eHarmony. Does that help? Okay. It's time for me to drink. Nobody else?
Any other questions? Not even what a sign is?
I get off that easy? Awesome. All right, thank you, everybody.
For coming here and doing all this tonight, we have some fairy tale brownies for you. Actually, these are empty boxes. They're going to be delivered to your office. So thank you very much, Arnie, for modeling. Anyway, everybody, we appreciate you coming. I hope you enjoyed. Scott, I thought it was a very interesting speech on the ROI, something we should all sort of pay attention to. Please remember the May 10th event and tell all your friends to join Azima. And again, if you have any sponsors, please seek me out. Hopefully I'll get to know a lot of you in the room. You probably don't really know me all that well since I'm usually behind the scenes. But again, thank you very much for coming tonight, and please drive safe.